Dun, dun. Oh, you're a little bit in the mirror there. That's all right.
I can't see. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Okay, I think I'm live. Hello. Have we got people waiting there? Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Basically, yeah, I wanted to do this because I put all this content out there into the ecosystem, and I get comments and chats, but I just really wanted to get a bit of feedback from you guys, what you'd like to see in 2024. And the main goal, I think, for this channel for me is to just kill it. Whoop. What's going on? We're getting ads. I think this is people. Anyway, the main goal for this channel is to help get people outdoors. So whether that's through my hikes and me doing little adventures and helping to people find different trails, or whether it's a bit of gear review, skills review, and helping people feel more comfortable outdoors. So I really want to hear from everyone about what they want to see in 2024. So hopefully everything's working. We've got my beautiful friend Ellen, who is going to be my moderator because I cannot read and talk at the same time. So if you have any questions, chuck them in. We've had a few questions, I think, come from the Instagram world. Ellen, did you want to, or I can find them if you want.
Sure. Well, there's a couple of questions that I've already seen on the Instagram thing here. One of them is like, do brands pay you to use their gear?
I wish.
Yeah.
No, that's a brilliant one. I get that a little bit. Basically, I've had a heap of brands approach me with different sort of things. 99, well, actually all of them so far have just been basically free gear. And I've turned away a heap of brands as well, because I guess for me, I want to feel confident that if I'm, promoting a brand or using a brand, that I truly believe in it and enjoy using it. So as much as it hurts to turn away, business class flights and etc. That's sort of my main motto. And I have some people in my life, like my partner and a few other people, that I sort of use as sounding boards of like, have you ever heard of this brand? Have you ever used them? Are they any good? And so that really helps me sort of work out what is good in the hiking world and what would be useful, and hopefully that you guys would enjoy seeing being used, and perhaps could help your hiking as well. So I mean, I would love to be paid, I guess. Who wouldn't love to get paid? But obviously always it's with the first and foremost in mind is that it's not just like a quick buck. It's for to help the channel, basically, to help fund my ability to do hikes, to get out there and make more content. That would be the main reason that I would do it. But as yet, no.
This question is kind of related to this, and also related to money and all those things.
Yep.
So it's, can you do some more gear reviews on some affordable
hiking gear? Yeah, I get that all the time. And I guess because hiking is my absolute passion, I spend absolute, a good chunk of money on it, because it's my passion. It's my dream, like my big sort of area that I spend money on. So not everyone wants to spend $1,000 on a tent. And so I do get questions about that a lot. And hopefully in 2024, I plan to sort of put out a bit of a guide, or sort of different recommendations of gear that you can get into hiking with. And I know certainly when I first started hiking, I was using $100 tent and just rolling with that, and it worked. And so, I'm super, super keen to get that happening and have some recommendations out there for different bits of equipment that you can use that are much more affordable. Getting some questions, are we now?
Yeah, getting some questions.
I'll try and bring those up for you so you can see them.
And this one's kind of in the same vein. So for someone on a budget, what would it cost to be set up self-sufficient for camping and hiking? That's from Duffy Norris Bailey there.
Cool. Thanks, Duffy. I mean, how long's a piece of string? You could basically spend $1,000 on almost every piece of equipment. But I reckon, in looking, when I first started out, I was using stuff from, sort of the basic stuff, and you can get out there for, let's say, a tent for a couple of $100, a backpack for $100. And I think borrowing gear is really important. I've actually even seen a few brands these days that will provide you can hire gear. So it's very hard to sort of estimate how much, but yeah, you can get out there for a few $100 if you really sort of look around. One area that I love and I still use always is, Facebook Marketplace, things like that. Other Facebook sort of selling groups to buy secondhand gear, and I find that so much cheaper. I've even I sell most of my gear that I don't use anymore online. So just make sure that the gear cupboards don't get full of stuff that you're never going to use. So I think that's a really good way to keep it cheap.
Awesome. We've got another one come in. Love your Butterwangs trips. But would you consider doing some snowy mountains trips? So
Ooh.
kind of, still close to Canberra.
Yeah. Great, cool. Absolutely. Yes. I'm super keen to get out that way one day. I guess I've I have neglected that area. I think it's because I realized I love trees, and I think I'm naively sort of I did a few snowy sort of hikes, but it was up right above the tree line, and watching other people's content, that's where I get a heap of inspo, either Instagram or other YouTube videos, and I see some of these places that are up that way, and they just look absolutely mind-blowing. So I guess I sort of default back to the Butterwangs because I know that area, and I sort of, every time I go out there, I think of new places to visit. But I would absolutely love to get out there. If you have any recommendations, please chuck them in the link below. I've always wanted to get out to that blue pools, is it, or water? I don't know, something like that. So absolutely keen to explore that area.
Amazing. There's one here that's come in wanting to learn more about bush foods and safety skills in remote areas. That's come in from Soupy.
Soupy, cool. Thanks for that, Soupy. Yeah, bush skills. Yeah. I guess the best one I would say bush foods is just grabbing some books. There's heaps of books on, like 3 or 4 sort of decent Australian books on bush foods and their uses, using traditional custodian knowledge. And most of it sort of comes from, I guess, early explorers, witness accounts of, watching these people that are just absolute, masters of their environment. And some of them are a little bit outdated, and some of them, aren't terribly well worded, but there's a lot of knowledge in those books, and, getting into those, learning those is really important. The one thing I would say is to be super careful with them, because they just say, they might say, oh, this berry is okay to eat, but I know personally I'm allergic to a particular species that's well known across the world as a a plant food, but I'm actually quite allergic to it. So just be aware of that. And so that's why I would encourage you to perhaps do some of those things like testing it on your skin or your lip before consuming it. There was other bush skills, was it, as well?
Bush foods and safety skills in remote areas.
Yeah. So I think, I did a wilderness first aid course that was really helpful. They're not super cheap, but things like that I think help build your skills. And then what I would say is just to keep building slowly and slowly. And I'm a huge fan of just camping in my backyard and trying those techniques and skills right there in my backyard. If something goes wrong, I can run inside and be nice and safe. So simple things like trying, if you want to try and make your own fire and stuff like that, practice it in your backyard. If you're using a ferro rod, practice in your backyard until you're confident. And always have your backup nice little bit glider in the backpack too if you're out there on the camping.
Another kind of food related question. So Simon says, I liked the cooking prep you did a while ago. Any new recipes for packable food would be appreciated.
Is this the dehydrating one? I'm not quite sure. Or maybe I made like a shashuka, I think, on the cliff top. But yeah, I definitely want to dig more into those sorts of videos. So I guess I'm always keen to find delicious foods for hiking, whether it be, recipes I make myself or, prepackaged food you can just buy and take. But yeah, I'm definitely keen to do a bit more cooking out there. It's quite beautiful and really fun. I have to always balance that with, not hiking too far and too fast and, being absolutely tired at the end of the day. But and then, yeah, definitely the dehydrated stuff. I'd love to get back into that. So yeah, hopefully some more recipes and things will come through.
There's another one from Simon. So a video about bad weather hiking would be great.
Yeah.
How it's not a bad thing to hike in when it's rainy, and that's been some of their best hikes.
Absolutely. Oh, that's such a good point. And yeah, I've sort of, I guess, as you get more comfortable with hiking and comfortable in your gear, comfortable with your rain gear, comfortable with your tent, absolutely, I would totally agree with you. Some of the best hikes I have done have been in absolute torrential downpour. I remember I did one in the Butterwangs near I think it was near the castle and near what is it, Mount Cole, Mount Owen, and that sort of area. And I was camping in the camping cave, but the next, like, it absolutely hammered down that night. And the next day when I was walking out, there was a waterfall about every 50 meters coming off the rock face, and it was just absolutely beautiful. So that's a really good one. I'm going to make a note of that. And just, I think it's that confidence in your gear and learning your gear, and knowing, okay, I'm soaked to the bone, but as soon as I get into camp, I chuck up my tent, put on my winter warms, and I'm going to be okay. So yeah, that's a really good idea.
Cool. Here from Laura Fitzgibbon. This is a bit of a gear related question. So, Laura says every hiker seems to have a Garmin InReach Mini.
Yeah.
I looked into them, but
Yeah.
wondered what you use, as most of them have subscription services.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't use them. We use them for work. I don't like them. I mean, I get the vibe and it's cool. Yeah, I'm just reimagining the whole concept of it at the moment, because I carry just one of those basic personal locator beacons. No subscription. You pay like $300 or $400. Get them once off. All it has is one button. I'm in trouble. And yeah, I hate subscriptions. I hate this money constantly going out of my account every month. But that said, I guess I have been sort of thinking more about it, where I've seen a few different other brands. And I guess I used to do a bit of work with a search and rescue mob. And there was one particular search we were on, and there's these two people that were trapped in a sort of a cave near the Buttawang sort of area. And one day they saw the helicopter come in. They'd put off their PLB. They saw the helicopter come in, and it was pretty bad weather, and the helicopter left, and they're like, oh, it didn't see us. And I can't imagine like being in distress and having the emergency services come and then take off, and just think, well, did they see us? Are they coming? So I guess in my brain, that thought process would be terrifying, especially if you are on your own. And so I guess that's where these InReach, these two-way messaging systems really do come into their own, where you can chat to emergency services. Often when you put off the SOS, they'll then send you a message saying, is this real? What's going on? You can then message back and they can say, all right, we're sending an ambulance. We plan to be there in 5 hours, in 5 days, whatever it is. So you can get a little bit of that feedback. The other thing they can do is give you medical advice, perhaps, if you're bleeding or if you had a snake bite. So there is value in that, but I still don't have it because I hate those subscriptions. The other thing I guess there is value in, but I think it can go both ways, and I've had a few people message me about this on Instagram, was, those ones that track. So, their partner or whatever it is, their mum, their dad, whatever, is watching these little breadcrumbs, every 5 minutes, yep, moving. And then poof, suddenly it stops moving, and the loved one starts panicking. And I think that's kind of a dangerous situation as well, because I've heard, if anyone listens to the podcast, what is it? Australian hiker. He did it once, and his massive storm came over, and his wife was watching, but he sort of went to this, like, I think a deep ravine or canyon to sort of, wait out the storm, and he didn't have reception. And then, yeah, just his wife started to worry, and with the storm, he didn't have tracking. And so it can be this sort of, it's meant to help your loved ones, but it can actually, add to the concern.
There's been another one come in kind of on the same, like saying, yes, I was also interested in that. What do you use?
What do I use? Yeah. I can't remember the brand. It's on my website. It's, I think, don't know. It's just one of those ones that, like, I got it from Snowy's or somewhere like that, and costs $300. Yeah, no subscription required. Actually, another shout out is Caro, Lots of Fresh Air, that lady, she has a podcast called Rescued, and she does a full summary of the different location beacons and the pros and cons of them. And I thought that was really powerful. And it sort of lent me more towards these ones that aren't two-way messaging. They're straight to this Australian call center. Pretty impressive technology behind it.
Awesome. So here we've got a question. Any tips on the red track in Bungonia?
Ooh.
Would you recommend more ankle protection or lower trail runners with the rock scrambling?
Yeah. Look, I'm probably always going to go trail runners for everything, but I guess it depends on your situation. If you have an ankle issue, I'd absolutely recommend going and seeing a physio, chatting to them. I love the agility. I love zero drop. So that means there's no there's no difference between your heel and your foot. I love very low profile, so there's not this big cushioning. And I love no ankle support. I love to be able to move and feel the rocks as I go over them. I feel like I'm kind of like gripping with my feet. But that's not for everyone. And you know, you have your own personal situations. If you do have ankle problems, I would, you know, once again, talk to a physio. But if I had an ankle issue, I'd probably still wear my trail runners and then have an ankle brace of some sort.
Here we've got a question about what have you found to be the best mosquito and or tick repellent?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a big question. I've just gone to these weird little eco like button things, which are more like you know, you put on little kids, like a sticker. I've been loving those lately, but I don't think they do. I don't know. I haven't found the solution. I've heard a whole heap of different stories about different things, and I just sort of roll with it now. I love wearing my gaiters. That seems to help a fair bit, but yeah, sorry, I haven't got a perfect solution to that one.
We've had a nice comment just come in from Shaz
I think
Book Owl.
Oh, Shaz,
so
yeah.
just saying, I made the dehydrated tomatoes chips and the
Yes,
dal from Kate's
yes.
Dehydrating Your Own Hiking Food vid, and it was yummy.
Oh, thanks, Shaz. You're a very big supporter there. I love your work.
Here we've got a question. Who are your favorite YouTubers or podcasters to follow? Lots of USA content out there, but not much from Australia.
Yeah. Look, yeah, that's a really big question. I flip around a bit. I really like I probably won't know their names now. Yeah, I love Elena Osborne. Oh my god, if you haven't seen her, she is next level. Like, she's like cinematography amazing. Have you seen her series? She's a Kiwi chick, and she hiked the Pacific Crest Trail, did a beautiful sort of, you know, maybe 5, 6, 10-part series on that. She's gone on, done other things. Her video quality and her charisma is just you know, something I'd love to emulate one day, like be as good as her in her photography skills. Yeah, she's definitely, I think, the benchmark for me. But yeah, apart from that, I flip around a fair bit. It depends what I'm sort of looking at. I watch a lot of tech stuff these days. Trying to get better at the craft of videoing and editing. So yeah, but it's hard, isn't it? It's hard to find good ones sometimes.
Here we have a question saying that they'd love to see some videos with tips for spotting different types of invertebrates, plants, fungi, etc.
Who's that one?
I remember you said you do a lot of biodiversity surveys as an ecologist, so that's from Soupy.
That's cool, Soupy. Yeah, that's a really good idea. Yeah, I'm definitely going to put that down as like a video to make. But in the interim, the big thing that I do is I photograph anything I see, whack it on iNaturalist, and the video, like the what is it? The photography recognition skills of that software is next level. I mean, even phones these days with their photos that can help recognize them. So that's like a huge I guess assistant for me in terms of working out plants, animals, anything. But I love iNaturalist. If the software can't work it out, then there'll be experts that'll help work it out for you. And it helps science. So win-win.
We've got a question here from Hung T. Would you consider doing guided tours, especially around the Canberra /ACT/ snowy region?
Yeah. Like, it's definitely something I would love to do. I love, you know, like I did one, what was it, last Friday, just for like a local women's group. And I guess the thing that holds me back there is insurance. It was a volunteer thing, so it was covered by insurance. But yeah, I would dearly love to do that. But, you know, and you sort of look for, like, once again, it's all a balance, isn't it? I've got a young family. I you know, don't want to get sued. But it really enriches me to take people outdoors and, you know, chat with them and learn about them and share that experience. So I would dearly love to do that. I just need to work out a way to make it work financially and insurance wise.
How much of the Australian Alps walking track have you done? And
yeah,
well, then this question would be relevant. Okay. Any favorite sections?
Yes, I have not. I have not done hardly any. I've done widdly bit in the ACT. But my cousin Laura, she has a little YouTube channel. Well, she actually of her trip. She loved it, loved every minute of it. And she promises me, actually jumping back to the earlier one about hiking up in the high country, she promised me because she's seen it all, and she'll find some good spots, and we should go off and do those one day. So yeah, got to get onto that. Thanks for the kick up the butt about the snowies. I gotta stop neglecting them.
Another question: what are you up to next year?
What's on
the horizon?
On the horizon, yeah. I guess big things. I'm planning on hopefully, I guess, with the YouTube channel and with my sort of, extra time is to do a whole package to help people get outdoors, whether that be skills or gear or through videos, but also perhaps a few face-to-face sessions where we talk about all the gear you need and getting really comfortable with it. And I think my priority there is I think the more comfortable and happy I've gotten with my gear, the more I can just relax and be in nature. And I want to try and help anyone that's, having any barriers to being outdoors, whether it be, I had these lovely friends that were so scared of snakes, they didn't go camping. And we had this beautiful chat one day about snakes and, the chances of getting bitten, how low it was, and how it's a bit drummed up in Australia, and they then, they bought a caravan and went all around Australia and just absolutely loved it. And, to be able to give that small, bit of knowledge to someone to allow them to have those amazing experiences, just magic.
This question's kind of in a similar vein. And it's, what hikes will you do in 2024?
Hikes. Ooh, that's really hard. I think I'm super keen to get back out onto the Shoalhaven River and do a little bit more pack rafting in there. I'm keen to, we'll get to the snowies now. I always love to get into a proper formal hike. So it'd be nice to, if you've got any suggestions, let me know. I've always been interested in, say, the Grampians Peak Trail, or some of the more formal trails is always nice to get out there. I'd love to get down to Tassie. I haven't done any hiking down there, but not sure yet. Let me know.
You mentioned pack rafting. Another question we've got here: can we see some more pack rafting from you?
Oh, yes. Hopefully you can. I've dusted off. It's in the cupboard somewhere. I've had big dreams to, maybe raft the whole of the Ettrimer River and, go through the canyons and stuff. But I'm not sure if it's easier or harder to take a pack raft in there. Maybe it'd just be easier to wade and swim through. But definitely Shoalhaven. I'm keen to get back out there. That's just such a beautiful part of Australia. Hopefully.
This is a bit of a step change. So this is about your experience on Alone.
Oof, yeah.
So question is, if you did Alone again, what would you change?
What would I change? That's a good question. I think, I was pretty happy with my strategy going in. I think there's a few things that I would do is that, you learn from, if it was in the same area, I learned from, I guess, watching other people. It was so cool watching everyone's experience and how they manage things. A few little tricks I guess I'd do is like what Chris did, where he had really long poles and was fishing off those to sort of stop the fish, I guess, from going into deep into the trees and getting snagged. I thought that looked pretty effective. The other one, I quite liked how Mike used the gumboot for water, because that was a constant battle for me. You've only got I think it's a 2-liter pot, and you boil it up so that it's safe to drink, but then you drink it or you got to wait for it to cool. And then, keeping a fire going wasn't super easy. So there was always a battle with making water, catching water, boiling up eel and having that fresh water supply. So it would be lovely to have another container to keep the water in. And then the other one I was thinking about, I think I would I'd like to have a few more sort of benches and places to sit, because my site was so slopey that there was just nowhere comfortable to sit. And so even at my fishing spot, I should have made a little flat chair to sit on, or even just around the campfire, getting up off the sort of the clay would have been lovely.
We've got a question here. It's a bit of a broad one, but we'll see how you go. How do you plan your hikes?
Oh, plan them. Yeah. I guess 100 different ways. So with my work, I travel around a fair bit. So if I'm traveling somewhere, I make sure I suss out what's in the area, because if they're gonna send me somewhere, I'm gonna, see if there's anywhere else nearby that I could do a hike. So that's sort of one way that helps work it out. But then I guess it depends on, every time I'm out there, I'm looking around and seeing different mountains or different trails, and thinking, oh, I wouldn't mind exploring that river a little bit further. So I guess it's about finding that inspiration. As I said, I love watching YouTube videos. I love following people on Instagram that are doing fun things outdoors, and like seeing where they're going and getting the inspiration, I guess. So that's the inspiration side. And then yeah, I just love maps. So, a lot of it's digital these days, but, like sort of planning, finding GPX, tracks that I can then make sure I follow, so that, you don't get lost. And yeah, just really thinking hard about that. Where would be a good campsite? I love Google Maps. I love some of the digital mapping products that are online, so you can really zoom in close and have a look and try and understand. I mean, I go pretty crazy with it sometimes. Some hikes I plan, I'm going to camp here, and I'm going to, work out, oh, the sunrise will set there, and this, sunset there, and the sun will rise there, and, working out exactly where I want to camp. But I guess obviously once you're on the ground, I'm being a bit flexible with that. And then, yeah, I love, thinking about the food and the gear and working out the conditions. I love the Bureau of Meteorology. They have this amazing climate statistics. So you can look up, say, like anywhere in Australia. So say Nerriga's near a place where I hike. You can look at the climate statistics for the last, say, 50 years, and it can show you the hottest ever recorded temperature, the coldest ever recorded temperature. And that is super powerful in terms of working out what sleeping bag I take, or, do I take my thermals because I'm hiking in July and it gets down to -6, or, if you're on the coast, it might only get down to -2. And so, or 0, so that's really powerful in terms of the planning process of what gear to take, so that I can be super confident that I'm going to be, warm and dry and safe. Yeah, I think that's the main one. Water's a huge one for me too, is like making sure there's a nice water source somewhere along the trail, or working out that I need to take a lot of water. So like the last one I just posted yesterday as a video on the Stirling Ranges, and I was carrying 9 liters of water at the start of that day. And, that's because I just did not want to be short of water, and it's hard to find water out on that trail. So yeah, it's all about that. And then obviously, a small part of that, a big part of that is also like leaving the details of your trip plan with a responsible person.
We've had a nice comment come in from Vicky Zakaria. I've loved your informative videos, for example, snakes, walking poles, etc. I'd love to see more of these types of videos.
Beautiful.
You have a great teaching style.
Thanks, Vicky. Yeah, I really appreciate that. It's nice to hear, because that's exactly, I guess, where I want to do a heap of videos on that next year. So yeah, stand by for more of that. If there's anything specific that you'd like to know about, please, yeah, shoot me a comment, send me a message. Yeah, I love that stuff. I love, yeah, sort of, it's also a good learning process for me, because, like I love poles, or I love whatever it is. And then I sort of go into the deep dive in research, and I'm always learning from this process just as much as I hopefully can share with the community.
We've got a more detailed question about you. So you were just talking about your water then. And how much water do you plan to consume in a day?
Yeah.
So cooking versus walking, and how much does it change from cold to hot weather?
Yeah, that's a huge one. Like, yeah, on the Larapinta, I was smashing so much water. So I think during the day hiking, because it's such a hot environment, I was drinking about 4, maybe 5 liters a day. And that sounds like a lot, but you're sweating your ass off. I'm taking electrolytes and stuff like that. You don't want to just fully flood your system. Certainly on that hike I just did, I had 3 liters per day, but I felt a bit short of that because we're working so darn hard. It wasn't that hot, but when you're working that hard, you sweat and you need a lot of water. So I would say any hike you're doing, you probably want 3 to 4 liters a day at least during the day of hiking, if you're working hard. if you're just going for a stroll down the garden path, you might only need 2. But then at camp, I like to have an extra, I like at least a litre at night because I like to have a big electrolyte when the first time I get in. If it's a hardcore hike, I also love to have a protein shake because I find the next day that I'm much like less stiff and sore. So you need, 500 mils for that. Then, dinner, depending on how you're eating your dinner, you need, maybe 500 mils for that. Do you like a cocoa at night? Do you like all these other things? So on the Stirling Ridge, when we had to carry all that water, I ended up having, we actually ate what I call wet food. So food that wasn't dehydrated. It was in these sort of pouches. So that was a really good way, I guess, for not carrying water, but then you're still carrying it in the food. So I don't know. But then, then the next day. So, you could be 4 liters during the day, 1 liter in the evening, and then 1 liter in the morning for brekkie and all that. But then you also need perhaps your 3 liters to hike out. So you can start to get pretty heavy pretty quick. I just like to do all the maths on it. So I'm like, okay, 3 liters for the day, 1 liter at night, 1 liter in the morning, and then I need another 3 liters to get back to the car. So you're 5, 6, 7, 8 liters of water. It can really jump up. And certainly on the Larapinta, I was carrying, 8 to 9 liters for an overnight stay when the next day the water source was, say, at noon.
Sounds heavy.
Very heavy, yeah.
So I've got a question here. Hey, Kate, I always love your What's in My Backpack videos.
Yes,
I find myself always going back to them and trying to minimize my kit. It's lightweight, but not ultralight. What are some of the things you thought you needed but don't pack anymore?
That's a good one. Thought I needed but don't pack. I think food. I always used to pack way too much food. Obviously, you need food, and food's a very enjoyable part of the hiking camping experience. But I used to always overcater, and I have this story of like hiking a whole homemade pizza in, and then just hiking the whole pizza out, and it can get really heavy food. So what I encourage everyone to do is when they go for a hike, sort of maybe take a photo of all the food you're taking, and then, look at how much you bring back and get an understanding of what you need. You can go crazy on really long hikes. I go crazy and I do calorie counting. So there's heaps of things you can do on Google where you put in, I'm a woman that's, 72 centimeters and I weigh this and I'm going to be doing a lot of exercise, and it can tell you need 2,200 calories or 3,000 calories per day. And I'll actually count the calories and use certain techniques to, I guess, have high energy food so that I'm, perhaps only carrying 700 grams per day. You can get pretty crazy with it, but sometimes on these overnight hikes, you don't need to go that crazy. Other things I took, I guess, just, they call it sometimes packing your fears. So whatever your fear is, I'm going to be cold, I'll pack my crazy ass sleeping bag. And certainly when I started hiking, I bought the most robo sleeping bag you could ever imagine. It was like minus, I don't know, 10 degrees. And it's just so heavy, so bulky. I never use it. I sold it pretty quick. And if I did hike with it, anytime out of dead of winter, I would sweat my ass off. And so I think it's learning the limits of your gear and learning your your limits, because are you a warm sleeper or a cold sleeper? Like, who knows? So it can be really confusing when first starting out. But I think you start to learn it, and once again, camp in your backyard. In the middle of winter, suss it out. Hopefully, I mean, Canberra's a good place to do that because it's nice and cold. Other things, I'm not sure, but the biggest one I would say to people is just weigh everything. Like on eBay or whatever, I bought this small little scales and I weigh everything, and it can help you work out. Am I gonna pay $500 for a new air pad to save 100 grams? Is that worth it for you? Maybe not. Maybe it is. And so that helps inform that process.
In the other direction, so here we have if you had a choice of only carrying one luxury item, would it be good coffee or a good beer?
Oh, that's mean. Probably coffee. Yeah. On the Stirling Range walk we just did, we took coffee but not beer. I guess. I mean, beer weighs a lot more than coffee. That's a hard one.
We've had a comment here. So recently I did the Thorsborn Trail.
Oh.
Have you considered it yet? It's an amazing range of biomes. And that's the one my folks do that every year.
Every year?
Every year.
I should get on it with them.
Yeah.
I would absolutely love to do that, and nice that you've done that. Yeah, I actually had this dream once to propose to my partner there, but didn't ever get there. I think with COVID and all that. I would dearly love to do that trail. Yeah, I'm going to put that in the to-do list.
So we've got still on Queensland.
Queensland.
So here's from JC. Hi, Kate. I live in Queensland, and I'm wondering if you use a sleeping pad under your mattress in hot weather, or do you leave it out? Sleeping bag as well versus sleeping bag liner.
Ooh, I don't quite understand that.
As in, like, do you use
under your mattress
a sleeping pad under your mattress? And then also, when you're in a hot place, is it just a sleeping bag liner or a sleeping bag?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I guess I haven't had the luxury of being super hot environments. I guess I hike in summer here. So I no matter what, I just take my air pad, just one layer, and then I have my quilt, which in hotter weather, I love my quilt. I do like it in the colder weather, but I find quilts so good because you stick your legs out and get the regulation quite well. I guess if I was hiking in somewhere bonkers hot, I might consider ditching the sleeping bag and just going with one of those Thermalite or whatever things. But yeah, I haven't ever, thank goodness. I'm not very good in the heat. But yeah, I've got this beautiful little sleeping bag. It's really nice and light, and you can open it quite up. So yeah, I think I'd probably go with that.
Here we've got a question from Andre Taylor. So, hi, Kate. Thanks for sharing your adventures online. Inspiring. I would love to see some future videos of your top 5 walks. Top 5 day walks.
Oh, good call.
In different parts of New South Wales.
Wow, yeah, that's a good one. I'm gonna put that on the list too. I always trying to do these like top Australian hikes, top this, top that, and then I just go in this world of research and then it's a pit of like, how do you choose one over the other? Like, of all the hikes I've ever done, people are always like, which is your favorite? And I'm like, so hard, but that could be good. Day hikes, New South Wales, definitely Bungonia would be in there. But no, that's a great idea.
We've got a question that's related to the sort of hot weather setup, cold weather setup with bedding, but more general.
Yep.
So have you developed a cold weather / hot weather set of gear, or do you tend to run the same gear and just vary your clothing to suit it?
Yeah, I kind of have a hot and a cold, like certainly sleeping bags. Like I've got a little Mont sleeping bag that goes down to about 2 degrees. Then I've got a quilt, and so I guess I've got the luxury now because it is my big hobby. I used to run like a really lightweight air pad, but now I've got the Thermarest one. It only weighs 300 grams. It does all weather that I need, so I end up just taking that everywhere I go. Clothing wise, I actually don't vary it that much because getting older, I'm scared of the sun. So I tend to actually always wear like a long sleeve shirt, long sleeve pants. A bit from like, the pants are great for like protection from spiky Australian bushes. So yeah, I sweat my ass off. I mean, that coast hike I did from Sydney to Malakuta in Victoria, 700 Ks. I actually wore long top and pants the entire way, even though it killed me. And that was November. Other things I changed is just my sleeping gear. I guess instead of sleeping in, say, thermals, I'll sleep in knickers and a little singlet or something like that. Yeah.
We've got a question here about, so this is Camping New South Wales. Does New South Wales National Parks charge you to camp on trails or just at designated campgrounds? And any issues with leaving your vehicle in isolated places when hiking in for a few days? Yeah,
that's a good question. I'm not 100% sure on that. I guess it's also case by case basis, like there's different stories and different hikes that are being established, a bit like Tasmania now in New South Wales, these sort of paid hikes that you have to pay per night for campsites. So can't think of what it's called. There's that new coast one near Eden. yeah, most, I guess, national parks in New South Wales for campsites are paid. But yeah, like I don't pay when I go to the Budawangs and that sort of places. So I guess it's park by park basis and just sort of doing a bit of research there. And what was the second part of that question was
have you ever had any issues or heard of anyone having any issues with leaving your
yeah.
car?
Now I've heard a lot. I've never had any issues ever. So I mean, your car can get trashed if you leave it in town after a big night. So I just it'd be terrible, I guess, if you went, you end of your hike, you're like ready for that schnitzel, and you get to your car and it doesn't work because of it, perhaps the tire's been slashed or I've never had any issues, but I guess it can happen. The main thing I do is just make sure there's no valuables that are visible in the car. And I guess there's two trains of thoughts. I've had some people say you should leave on your dash, back Wednesday, or but then some people be like, well, don't let them know when you're back because then they know, it's abandoned for 3 days. So yeah, I'm not sure what the best method there. I tend not to do anything anymore in terms of leaving a note. I guess with the exception of there's a couple of places near the Budawangs where you're kind of basically parking on someone's driveway. So then sometimes I will, leave a note there. But yeah, I just feel like it's probably not something to concern yourself with. But accidents do happen. Yeah.
We've had a suggestion
Suggestion.
that's going to help you with your
Oh.
lightweight luxury items.
Love it.
So have to get a flask and spirits plus coffee.
Oh,
so there you go.
Yeah, get off the beer.
hard
That's
stuff.
the one. Yeah, yeah.
stuff.
I've tried. Yeah, I tried like port for a while. But it's just nothing like just cracking a beer at the end of the day, and even if it was mildly warm. But yeah, I do need to experiment. Maybe some cocktails or something happening out there on the cliff top.
We've got a comment here saying like, love your hiking videos and how you share with us your cooking meals and your coffee. Would love if you could show us any ready-made or dehydrated meals that you try and your thoughts on them. Always
Beautiful.
appreciate feedback on them, and then I'm more willing to try them out.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, that's a brilliant question. Thank you. Yeah, I'd love to do that. I should just I mean, there's more and more brands now in Australia coming out. And I, there's been some brands that I really don't like that, it's been years since I've tried. So it might be good to just get one of every brand, like maybe the spaghetti bolognese in every brand and just go nuts. Get a few friends. We get Ellen, we get my partner Elsie, and because that's the thing. I guess it's what one person likes, another person might not like, and I'm always struggling with that when I recommend something. I think it's hard to be like, oh, this is the best, and then I'll give it to Elsie, and she'll be like, no, it's not good at all. Or like even my friend, we had these I think they were called Blue Dinosaur bars, and I liked a particular flavor, and she liked the other ones, and it was just like, what? Anyway, so I guess but yeah, that's a cool idea. I'd love to do that. And I always struggle with trail snacks. So I sort of you're really nailed down. I've gone to I found this health food shop that, has all these different sort of, dried fruits and nut snacks and those sorts of things. So just trying to get a bit more creative with the food I eat out there. Cool.
I think that we've come to the end of the questions that have come through on here.
Beautiful.
I mean, do people want to put in any last questions that you have?
We might wrap it up at say an hour and then sing out if you've got any questions. But I guess the other thing I'd say is that I've been working a little bit, hopefully make it even better, but my website, often it's a little bit confusing. I've got so many platforms. There's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and I've got a Patreon account and a YouTube members account, and just trying to make sure that I get the message out to wherever you guys are, can be a little bit overwhelming. So I've set up a newsletter that I put out every sort of fortnight that you can sign up through kategrowup.com. And that's I guess just a way to make sure, because I did a few, I do a few speaking gigs here and there. I did one up in Sydney. I did one here in Canberra, in the last month or so. And I had heaps of people when I do the video or the photo on Instagram sort of afterwards, people being like, what? I didn't know about this. I wish I knew I could have come. And it's I guess it's just hard to sort of try and get the message out to people at the time. So yeah, if you're interested in that sort of stuff, sign up for the newsletter. I try to make it pretty quick. It's just sort of 3 things I'm up to. Yeah.
We've had a question come in from Tyler around utensils. So, do you multi-use your utensils? Being ex-army, we used to use our cup to shave, drink, and eat. There you go.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, look, I go pretty simple. I just have little spoon, titanium spoon, and now I've gone fancy, two cup sort of bowls, like a bowl and a cup. I don't wash out of them, but yeah, I do. I just sort of eat everything out of there. I make sure I sort of whatever I've eaten, I rinse it out with water and either drink it or splash it out. I don't get too crazy with the cleaning and hygiene. I guess in terms of personal hygiene, I've seen a few people when every now and again I might do it on a longer trails, like you get like a sort of a what is it, a Ziploc bag with a like a small piece of chucks with a bit of say essential oils, and you put a bit of water and have a little wipe down that way. But yeah, if it's just an overnight or 3 days, I don't bother too much with the cleanliness. Embrace it.
We've had a comment come in from Vicky. So more speaking gigs would be great.
Thanks, Vicky. Yeah, I love doing that. It's so much fun. Yeah, so that would be one thing I'd love to do. And I'm like an ambassador for Capital Brewing now, and they've been chatting and we've been discussing maybe having a few events at the brew house in Canberra. So that'd be really fun, whatever it is, whether it be talking about gear and me bringing in my gear and chatting about it, or, I do a few little talks about, my time on alone and what that experience sort of meant to me and how it sort of pushed my, I guess, thinking and, abilities. Yeah, love speaking gigs.
We've had a comment come in saying thanks for the live chat.
Woo!
And hopefully you will do another one in the future.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's been really fun, and it's, as I said, it's been beautiful hearing a few comments and questions from you out there, because sometimes it does feel like I'm just throwing stuff out there and not getting much information back. So it's been really positive to do that. So yeah, hopefully we'll do it. I might get better at reading and writing, so I don't have to drag poor Ellen in.
No, I've had a fun time too.
Ellen's had a fun. But yeah, it's been great. Cool.
And a lovely comment come in. I'm going to read all the compliments out. Read all the compliments out. So
a lovely comment.
Love your work. You're always happy in the moment, and in the moment.
Thank you. All right. Well, maybe that's it. We might wrap it up there. Thank you so much. Yeah, please, I think there'll still be comments. I think this gets packaged up. This is my first one, so I think it gets packaged up and then gets uploaded as a normal sort of YouTube video. So if you have any further questions, throw them in there. Comment suggestions. I'll go in and copy them all and add it to my to-do list in terms of cool videos to make.
And a final one, no questions, just saying thanks. Been following you for a few years. That's from Matthew Lee.
Thank you, Matthew. I guess the other cool thing, if you are a fan of the channel, I would really appreciate you sharing it with someone, growing it. It's really interesting when you look at the YouTube analytics. I think something like of the people that watch, only 30% are subscribers. And I guess in this day, we don't tend to subscribe to channels maybe, but I guess that's exciting for me because it shows that there is growth there. If 70% of people watching aren't even subscribed, there's a huge potential for growth. So yeah, please spread the message. Cool. All right. Well, thanks a lot. Thanks, Ellen, for your time.
Yeah.
Loved it. I can't read and talk, so that's been really great.
Oh, Vicky, a little great work, Ellen. Vicky, I take that. Thank you so much.
Sweet. Thanks, everyone. Happy Christmas. Hope you have a bit of a break and have a safe time. Hey. Bye.